40% of the country just barely making ends meet because that's how it's designed now. And you've got the top 0.1% holding over 40% of all the wealth.
Yeah.
The middle class is like barely, barely able to keep their heads above water, and they're able
Hmm.
to take care of their kids and get their kids to school and college. But anybody underneath the top 30% probably is sitting there either having a job and having to take assistance to even just to get by,
Hmm.
or they can't get by at all.
Right.
And it's because of that. It's in the 70s it was much flatter. That was like a um, we've kind of changed that dynamic over the past 20 years because you know rich people got in and started giving themselves tax breaks and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Yep. Tax breaks and
and
bailouts. Like,
keeping the interest rate at zero. People with money that's free money for them.
correct.
They could just do anything they want
Yep.
because they don't have to pay interest on it.
Yep. Yep. You
I
get.
was 11 when that started, so I had no way of getting it early.
We should have bought a house. Okay. No
Obviously, I
excuse. No
should have a
excuse.
job. I
Oh yeah,
should
people talk about how well in the 60s you used to be able to buy a house and you used to be able to have a single um, earner homes and all this other stuff. I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
and we also taxed the highest tax rate was like set like 80%.
Oh, hold on. I gotta do the line right. Huh? No one paid that tax rate,
I know the effective tax rate was lower. Yeah, I get that,
but
but
it
still,
forced companies to do other things, so they didn't do
mhm.
that. Yes. It
It
forced
forced
the.
people to reinvest that stuff, so they didn't have. So they're like, oh yeah, they never paid that tax. Yeah, because the loopholes that they were going through
Mhm.
was getting that money back into the system and into the people's hands.
Correct.
Right now, the top 0.1% holds 40% of the wealth. They're not doing anything with it. They're holding it.
Yeah, it goes back to the
It's
montage.
sucking it
What
out of the
everyone
economy.
says is that you tax what you don't want and subsidize what you want more of.
Mhm.
Yeah, we didn't want these
I mean,
massive income, but we wanted everything else. The government interfered with the market because it's always interfering with the market. It's okay to come in and twist and tools because it's in there twisting things anyways. It's not going to go. It's not
I
going
mean,
away. It's not going to
it's not.
twist things.
That's the thing. It's not a free market. Everybody talks about all these
Yeah.
libertarians talking about they want a free market. A free market is one that operates freely, not one that has no regulations.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, I'm
So
fine with people regulating. I want a regulated market, regulated by the people who use the
yeah, you
marketplace.
don't
Yeah,
you want rules against fraud, right? That's a
yeah,
regulated market.
yeah.
If you have a
That's
rule
yeah,
against fraud,
yeah. I want frauds. I want protections. I want to make sure I'm not getting
mhm,
some bad cow disease when I eat my hamburger.
yeah. I mean, like Doge is getting rid of the consumer protection agencies inside of there. So now companies can more easily take advantage of their customers,
Hmm.
ripping them off
Yep.
with nowhere to go to. Now, I don't want all these things to be government run. I want them to be NGOs or something that's not run by government and politics, because when politics gets involved, this was what happens. You
Right.
have politicians getting in there and jacking everything around to
Hmm.
where, just on a political whims. I want somebody running that stuff who knows what they're doing,
Yep.
right? I want a Department of Education that's not tied to the government, that actually has educators saying, hey, this is how we should be teaching these things,
Hmm.
and put it out there, and the schools who want to follow that will follow it. If it's the better curriculum, the kids will be better when they get out of the school. That's how it would work. But
Yep.
you can't just turn it off and expect those systems to eventually arise. You got to get those in place first before you turn off the government bucket, or you just have chaos and a situation where you can't actually return. You're going to have people suffering for a period of time while that stuff gets built, right? So it's not
Right.
like, like with the aid and stuff like that, people are going to be dying and having trouble making their ends meet. It's going to cost more in the long run, in the form of money and human capital, before those systems can get in place to work. And
Hmm.
it's going to be rough, and it's going to take a while. Those should be the things. If you want this to happen, you should be putting those systems in place and making them work, showing and proving to people that they do. And people will say, well, if this was working here, why do we need the government version of it for? And then they can turn it off. They can turn off the government side of things, and then you're not paying for taxes that way. You're paying through fees and like the schools using the curriculums from this new Department of Education NGO would get fees from the schools to maintain doing their job without having to do it through tax money.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to talk about this stuff because they want the brutalism is the point for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
They want to punish people.
Yep. It does feel like we are having like the brutalist conversation again. And to Reinhold, when we were going through to me, the first time I was going through the brutalism, I'm sure Reinhold was like, this again. I'm like, no, Reinhold, this is new.
No, it's funny because I was sitting there talking. I was talking to somebody and I was like, we're repeating the 1920s. And it's like, history doesn't repeat itself, but it mirrors itself. Like it's similar. And so but we're literally repeating it. We're using the same phrases. America First was a movement in the 20s that was nativist and tied hand in hand with the KKK and immigration laws and fascism. It was one of the first fascist movements in the world that we know of, that Germany took lessons from in order to build their society that ended up with Hitler. Hitler was talking about Americans, eugenicists, and America First leaders in Mein Kampf, referencing them.
Henry Ford, okay. Henry Ford got a glowing recommendations in Mein Kampf.
Mm-hmm.
This video is demonetized.
Happy Mario Day.
Hi everybody, welcome to the lighthearted, fun culture stuff that we talk about, nerd culture and games and ooh-woo. Let's ooh-woo a little bit.
I was waiting for the break to drop it in there, but it just kept going.
It kept going. I was
get me going. It's kind of hard to stop.
We hit that wall.
I have that problem. You get me started.
Yeah, I was also going to ask Reinhold, is it time to start? Should we do our depression victory gardens now, or like just wait? We just hoard seeds. We just get our seeds ready.
I'm hoarding seeds. I'll tell you, after the election happened, I did move funds around in my 401ks and stuff to put myself in better positions because I knew the stock market was going to go down. Because if he put the tariffs in, I was like, I know this is going to happen.
I did
so
too.
Let me move some money around because I see it coming. And everybody's like, no, there were a bunch of people who was just pumping into the stock market after the election, and now they're all learning.
Nope. I am going back and buying these dips. Yes, they're going to go down. We'll come back to this, but I'm just going to keep buying. It's going to keep going down, but it's okay.
Yeah. I'm looking for the dip. The dip's going to come.
I'll buy on the down. Yep. It'll be fun.
You never sell when it's hot, when it's like, when it's at the top. You wait till it goes down, you buy, then you sell when it goes back up.
Yep. Anyways, now, hello everybody, and welcome to an exciting new episode of Low Key on the Wheel of Shit Network. I'm your host, Harry, aka the Movie Target, and as we've unfortunately found out from Dear Leader, we're in episode 167. Can you believe that? This little fun project that we've gotten well over 150 episodes, so we've excelled. We are technically in the top 1% of podcasts in the world. It just shows you how many podcasts are out there that don't get past 100, or let alone 25, and pod fade in the first 3 months. We're freaking amazing. We're better than most.
Does that count the streams? Do the streams count as episodes that we did? Those 4-hour streams in there?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So if we should have broke them up into smaller ones and
extended it out.
But unfortunately, those count as one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, let's be fair. It was just you getting me going and me going for 4 hours.
Yeah, get up and go make a pizza or something. But anyways, those exciting voices you guys hear. You hear Reinhold, who gave the rant that started the show off. Why don't you go say hi, Reinhold? It is Cincinnati Reds. Get up. Getting ready for opening day.
It's not Cincinnati Reds. Come on.
Oh, sorry.
You know better. You know better. Well, you know what this is.
No, I can't tell what that is. I can't. I'm sorry.
Hold on a second. Does this help at all?
Nope. Attack on Titan.
Van Halen.
I'm gonna
Oh,
say,
okay.
man, I've never seen that Spider-Man outfit before.
I know. This is Van Halen. It's like that's Van Halen's
Van
before my time.
Before your time. All right. All right.
Hold on, Van Halen shirt. All right, when you just all right.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
It's
this is
this
Van Halen
Eddie's
Hawaiian shirt.
guitar.
Okay, yeah, this is his guitar. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah, it was a cover of one of their albums.
Nice.
Like, oh
Nice.
yeah.
What's an album?
It used to be, you know how you get music
What's
now
a guitar?
when you listen to music. It used to be what they had to do is they created these things of wax, right?
Mhm.
They would burn candles, make wax, and then they would put grooves in there with sound in it. I
Mhm.
know it sounds really weird, but
Yeah.
it would create this sound.
Is
And
that
it was
what? Do you
Oh,
do
is
that
that
that's
what?
what we used to
Oh,
buy out music
oh,
on.
it's that thing those hipsters buy, those vinyls. Is
Oh,
that what you're talking about?
it's when we used to buy music.
No. That's
Nobody buys music anymore, but
before
it
that.
used to be you had to buy music.
After Reinhold left the Highlands of Scotland and trained that guy on his swordsmanship, he went to Egypt and did this.
I thought he was talking about the hipster things that
There can be
people
only
buy
one.
that people buy on their shelves as a status symbol without actually using them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only records.
Rich people, yeah. Rich
Only
hipsters,
records.
yeah.
Only records I usually play is my Isley Brothers. Wearing those bad boys out.
I still gotta get all those records out of my spare room.
What's really funny is somebody like me.
Mhm.
That's why Gen X people are so pissed off.
Mm.
Is that we've had to buy our music from album, then we bought it on 8-track, then we had to buy it again on cassette, then we had to buy it again on DVD, and now we got to buy it again as an MP3 downloads. So we saw the same albums 5 times.
Look at this guy
We're
buying
little-
albums. I just use Spotify, and I don't have to buy that.
Except not everything's on Spotify. I tell you that I've had music that's not on Spotify.
So is it Gen X that is buying all the Skyrim? Skyrim and GTA 5 over and over again.
Oh yeah. Basically,
gotta go buy GTA 5 again.
GTA 5.
Do I have to pay for that enhanced version? I just saw it pop up. I was like, do I have to pay for
I have
this?
no idea. I haven't even looked at it. I just saw somebody talking about it, and there was a meme about how the GT, like, you know, the two cars passing each other and looking at the people looking at each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's a GTA 5 PC owners, and then there's the GTA 5 enhanced owners. And they're looking like there's something going on there. I just haven't had a chance to go look and investigate it because it's like
I haven't either. I
don't know.
All I know is that that literally a YouTuber did a skit. It's like, we have to keep this skit going for like 30 more seconds, and it counts as the new Skyrim re-release for this year. It's like,
damn. Anyways, that famous laugh that you're hearing on the network, the most famous laugh on the network, Vincent, will you go ahead and say hi?
Hi guys, we're here, talk about stuff as per usual. Harry wanted to talk about Mario Day.
But it's Mario Day. Hey, I made Gunther sit there and play Mario Party. I was like, it's Mario Day. Let's play some Mario Party.
Mario Party. Oh no!
Yeah, she was having a ball because I was allowing her to win for like 3 of these mini games, right? She was having a ball, right? And then I turned it on. It's like, then it was on.
And he's like, all right, she has her 2 stars. Gamer stance.
Wow. And she's like, what's going on? I was like, nope.
Oh, hey, look, this boo allows me to steal your star. Oh, no.
Time to learn today. Go learn today.
Yeah, it's one of the. This is the first year that we've had Mario Day without Achievement Hunter or, those guys. Yeah, it's because they used to play those. Used to play it every year.
Those charities that usually get played here. Anyways, don't worry about those. Yeah, about those.
Rip Achievement Hunter.
Yep.
I mean, didn't they buy Rooster Teeth back? That was the whole thing.
They tried to buy Rooster Teeth. It's a whole thing. Rooster Teeth is gone now. It's done.
Yeah. Which, hey, if you learned anything from Rebecca Sugar, don't sell your stuff. Don't sell it.
They sold.
Don't sell it.
Well, I mean, the 4 guys that started it, two of them just didn't want to do it anymore. I mean,
yeah.
And then finally, the 3rd person didn't want to do it anymore either, Bernie.
Yep.
So where it was just the one guy trying to run it. I mean, so I don't.
Hey, just 20 years from
I
now,
don't understand it.
all the Crystal Gem cereal, repopping it, selling you guys just garbage junk, redoing the shows. The gems are all guys now.
It'll be great when you see Harry in about 20 years teaching his grandchildren. There's this thing called red versus blue. Back in the day,
Like, what's Halo?
you need to watch this.
What's Halo?
What's Halo?
Didn't that game die 20 years ago?
They'd be like, Grandpa, that stuff looks so old.
And then all you see is producer Ball in the court crying, holding a Master Chief helmet. Like, why did they do this to him?
Yeah,
but they'll be like, why are you making us watch this 2-dimensional media? Just we got everything in 3 dimensionals. And like holograms. We watch it now. Like we're in the stuff.
I will be one of the people that will talk. I'm really big into like watching the development of AI game generation because VR gaming, right, is so intensive because it's not like you're trying to develop like this one pancake flat image. You've got to everything, complete 360 around yourself and developing that. And so when things are happening over there, things, if there's, you've got to create these environments. And
peripheral vision is going to be there too. So you can't just ignore that. Yeah.
Yep. Because like it's fun. I'm just saying, like it's going to be a very interesting, especially with AI stuff like that. But no, yeah, it's Mario Day, and I'll sit there like it is a goofy holiday because it's just MAR the 10. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's fun. It's goofy, But no, I enjoy sit there destroying my daughter in Mario Party, watching her. The worst one was like because it's just doing the Super Mario one on the Switch, and she got really perturbed on the barrel run because she couldn't understand that she had to like tilt it forward and bend with it. She kept doing this, and he's like, "Why? What is going on?" It's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
I mean, well, you got to be careful too because next year or the year after, it may be illegal to even celebrate this day because we're talking about immigrants, coming over here. We can't celebrate the immigrants,
Italian plumbers.
But man, it's so crazy. Like, I had this thought yesterday. I was watching somebody talk about Paper Mario, and my brain just goes, "Man, Mario's such a weird character." I started watching, it's like, man, he's such a fucking weird character.
Beloved,
yeah, he's
you understand. It started as just a colorful little guy on the screen for Donkey Kong, right? That's how it starts.
Yeah, and then it just evolved into going from
let's use this character for this other thing, yeah,
right. Yep. And then all the other stuff that's connected to it, like
they're kind of locked into what they had that first time. That first time was just because it was a red motif. That's why he wears red, because the Donkey Kong screen was all mostly red,
right?
Red and black.
And how much they've drawn out of this fat Italian plumber. And so there's like they have a bunch of RPG games. They have all the different platformers, both 2D and 3D, and it's just like
a whole cast of characters that came out of it. Yeah,
right. Some that
franchise.
People love so much, like the existence of Bowser being a villain because of Mario, and how much Bowser as a character affected many other villain characters established Jr. Yeah, Donkey Kong Jr., who is the Donkey Kong in like all the games you actually play, because Cranky is the original Donkey Kong. Because they establish actual fucking lore.
I know this. You get into the Donkey Kong lore.
So establish a bunch of fucking lore and shit, and you're just like,
what is?
Okay.
All right, it's cool. Gotta have a plot reason.
There's
a 2 movies.
Plumber who jumps and hits blocks, and those blocks are actually people. Because according to Strategy Guide, it's people. And the blocks of people, but we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that. Oh man.
But he has enough personality to be able to be a main character in an RPG games and expressive enough to not talk in dialogue like other main characters do.
That's true.
but still has a personality with them. They're not just some generic character,
Mhm.
which is very,
Woohoo!
yeah.
To
Oh,
me,
for
Mario.
that's it. Yeah.
But it is funny because a lot of people do think that Mario started from uh, the Mario Brothers game, and it didn't. He started with Donkey
Donkey
Kong.
Kong, yeah.
Mhm.
And that was when he was Jumpman, and that's why they added Pauline into a lot of things now. They basically brought her back into the zeitgeist after they're like, you know what, Mario Odyssey, boom, she's the president, she's the mayor of New Donk City. That's basically
What's
New
funny is
York.
that a lot of people, like, I'm one of the, I'm old enough to remember when all that started, when there weren't video games. We used to go play pinball because that's all we had.
Mhm.
And then there was a Pong game in one of these arcades. It's like, what the heck's that? And then Space Invaders killed it. Then Asteroids and Donkey Kong. Those were the three big ones that really moved the genre to explode into just thousands of different types of games.
Yep. To
Right.
the quadruple A scene that we've seen today and watch Ubisoft burn in real time. It's been great.
Oh man, it's great. It's even better that literally a Yakuza game came out where they made fun of Skull and Bones in it.
I never wanted a Yakuza game, but I kind of want one now.
The one that's like a pirate.
Yeah, because there was like, you miss Saints Row, here you go. And I'm like, oh, I do miss Saints Row, goofy this.
Like a dragon pirate in Hawaii or some shit like that.
I know. It's I think I might. I usually do not play single player games. I might buy it. I don't know.
I'll think about it. I'm thinking about it.
Think about it. Think about it. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's crazy to think how this character has transcended so much, just becomes what he is to the point where
Yeah.
they're like, we actually have to make a real animated movie
Yeah,
instead
but
of
think about this. It was the first like character in a video game. Like back when I was talking about, we had like Space Invaders. It was an obelisk blob. It wasn't like it was just a gun fighting up against aliens. Then you had Asteroids. It was just a ship blowing up asteroids. And then you had Donkey Kong, which was a guy. It was a story to it. And it was a
saving
guy, a main character, and it was like the first real character that come out of that genre, and he's just led the path through and taken over and is still around, which is amazing.
Yep.
Yes,
Just from that.
shows the longevity of a simple concept that you're able to continue to elevate on, and being able to create new ideas and new takes to basically have the biggest platforming series, the biggest racing game series, because Mario Kart is Mario Kart 8's like the 5th best-selling game in history.
Yeah.
So
Which
they have.
is
I forgot to
which is
mention
crazy.
Pac-Man too and all that. Sorry.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But
And
Yeah, same thing. Pac-Man's
yeah.
still around too, right?
yeah, and wish I had a bow next to me and go, Mrs. Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Well, his Donkey Kong Jr. Just there you go.
He's like, here's the suspenders. Moving on.
No.
They had like Burger Time comes out is like a combination between Donkey Kong and Pac-Man.
Yeah, which Burger Time,
Burger
still
Time.
best game, one of the better games at the time. I liked it better.
But I remember one of the first like computer games I used to play was Lemmings. You remember that game?
I remember I never played it though.
Not only do I remember that game, they made a Mario version of that game.
Oh, did it?
Yep. I believe it's called Mario versus Donkey Kong, and you're basically moving robotic Marios to stop like Donkey Kong things. They made a Mario version of Lemmings. The Mario, they basically put him in just about everything.
Yeah.
I think Lemmings was the first
movie. Had the Super Mario Brothers Super Show with Captain Lou Albano.
Where's the Mario?
I think Lemmings was the first computer game I acquired without paying for it.
Oh,
Fair. Don't say that too loud around Nintendo. They'll hunt you down. They don't own that license, but still, it's better.
What's funny is that was when I was like 19, 20, I don't know, something like that. When my first computer, I started getting the Commodore 64 when I was like 20. I had a TI-99 when I was in high school because they were selling them for $49. Texas Instruments decided to get out of the computer business, so they sold all their TI-99s like for $50 a piece, and our school went and bought a bunch of them. Somebody went and bought a bunch of them and donated to school. So that's how we were learning how to code when I was in my senior year of high school. Was our first coding class, first computer class. Yes, I'm that old. Yes, I'm very much that old. We had a TRS Model 1 in the computer class too, which we played Adventure on.
What language was that coded in? Dust,
mostly basic.
Dust.
when I went to school for coding when I was 17, 18, we were taught basic and Pascal and COBOL. And then I learned RPG 3, and then I learned I never really learned Fortran for some reason. I was too young for Fortran. That was before my time, apparently.
Still in use today.
Fine. So is COBOL. Apparently, if you look at the Social Security Administration, they're still using COBOL.
Honestly, like if it works, okay, what's the point?
It's is really a report generator and a number cruncher. It's all COBOL really is.
Yeah. And no one wants to be the person that coded the mistake. So it's easier just to maintain the COBOL.
What's funny is I have flashbacks. Somebody said, "Oh, by the way, there's a free PC COBOL compiler," and I went, "What?" I went and downloaded it and loaded it up. It was immediately like 17 again, going, "All right, I need my." Used to have these sheets that were like kind of like graph paper. We have the squares and everything up, but you had like you would map out where you want the numbers at, so you could count the number, count what the report's going to look like, because that's what generates a report based off of that. So you'd have to have the squared sheets to fill all of this out to see what your report would look like, to make sure it fit on one page, and you'd have to count it out and how wide the screen was and everything. And then you do pick nines, and you'd say this is a placeholder for numbers, this is a placeholder for letters, and what would generate in as the variables. It was real basic, but it was still like just immediate, like I was 17 again. Just immediately hit me flashback, like when you hear a song or something, it just takes you back to when you were a kid, or taste something or smell something. It was that kind of sensation. It was just like, oh my god.
Ryan, hold on, we're having a Ratatouille moment.
Yeah,
with COBOL.
I just saw somebody react to Ratatouille, and I saw that scene. Yeah, that's right. It was when he tastes it, he goes.
That happens to me when I hear the theme from the movie Hackers. I'm right there at that moment. It's back in the 90s again.
Well, I think I told the story before, but that was when somebody mentioned Harold in the Purple Crayon. I was just like, I was five years old again. I was like, all of a sudden it started.
Have you watched the movie?
I have not seen the movie. I'm afraid to. I
Probably
don't want it to taint what I enjoy as a kid.
It will get you. It will get you. It'll choke you up.
Have you?
Just like If. Have you watched If?
No, haven't watched If yet. Either.
Oh man, If will get you too. Yeah, that should make you. Yeah, I've got. Yeah,
Are you are seriously like it, or?
Yes, I do. I have watched.
It's going to ruin my life.
I've watched. It's not going to make you ruin your life. It'll tell you. But If is really good. It's a lot better. Like, I don't know if you watched the Clifford movie.
I didn't watch the Clifford movie, but I had a feeling
it's kind of lame.
Live action. Yeah.
It was good for the premise, but it was like it was kind of like lame on it too. And then like this huge stretch. I think the main thing that was throwing me off on it was like this Chinese millionaire. It was like this dog would be safe in China, and that threw me out of like that dog is not safe in China. Dog is not safe. What?
I defeat the village for a year.
Wrong accent, but yes.
I'm not doing the accent. I don't want to get canceled.
We already got demonetized.
I
They could
I
get
don't
here
have.
faster.
Anyone who's upset,
I'm not
I'm
Mickey Rooney in this place.
I'm
Okay.
not saying that Chinese people eat dog. All I'm saying is if you get on Google Maps and you look and you type in the Chinese word for dog meat, you get a lot of hits.
It's
So I'm
there's
saying.
nothing wrong with saying that.
So I'm saying.
Asian, especially South Asian people, have eaten dog is in their it's part of their diet.
Yeah, but it's okay. Hey,
It's because there it's different.
Right,
It's not the same as here.
Yeah, it's just like I'm sure there's people in India that watch us eat cows like you guys
Oh
are
yeah, they're like,
barbarians.
what are you guys eating? Yeah, how could you do that?
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
For the,
But they'll put up a lamb in a second, man.
Oh, yeah, right. It's like shit, went to a cow like, oh, it tastes so good.
I was watching some people in India and kind of in the country, and they were doing a village creation of biryani. And lamb biryani, and it was just like, and they just had that lamb just popped up there. You go. It was good though. Looked good. Biryani and tikka masala. I'm having cravings for tikka masala now.
Oof, man, this is
done it to myself.
This Indian restaurant that closed down next to a place I do like hot yoga at here in town. Oh man, they had some really good like goat neck. Okay, it is so freaking good.
Here's my problem.
Was good.
Yeah. Here's
my favorite part about eating it in front of like the like the white people who eat the butter chicken, and you're sitting there like picking out bones and stuff, looking at you, finally like. You're missing out. Anyways, sorry, right?
There was an Indian restaurant called India Palace, which technically still exists. But when I used to go there, back in the old days, and I got to know kind of the owner a little bit. We used to come in and they'd see, hey, you doing and talk. Their tikka masala, like so the first time I went to go have Indian, I was working at this company, and we were like, let's go try something different. Okay, we'll try. I've never had Indian before. Let's go try Indian. And I was like in my 20s. I had never had Indian before, even though I was in the Navy, but I never traveled. But anyway, so I'm like, let's go to a buffet. That way I could try a little bit of everything, find out what I like. If I don't like it, then fine. So I did that. And I got to the tikka masala and I tried it. And I was like, oh my God, this tastes like heaven. This is great. I love this stuff. So I couldn't get enough of it. I eat it. Then the guy who owned it sold it to someone else, and they changed the recipe, and it wasn't nearly as good because there's different areas in India and Britain, because technically tikka masala is a British variation of Indian food anyway. It's not even Indian technically.
It's meant for you.
Yeah. So, but butter chicken. So anyway, that the tikka masala changed, and then it changed again. And then it changed, like recently it changed and it was back to similar to what it was. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was more in that path. And I would go up there, I would get trays of it, like because I would like order 4 or 5 dinners because I'd bring them home and just eat them over the course of a week. And the owner was like, no, just buy a catering tray. It's a lot cheaper to do it that way. I'll give you a deal. So he would make a catering tray of it for me, and I'd go get it and take it home, stick it in the refrigerator, and just eat it for 3-4 days in a row. Just all my meals. That's what it was. And then I went up there not too long ago, and the guys in Avon bought it, and now it's completely different. It's not even red almost anymore. It's more of a
comes in a bag.
Brown,
comes in a bag.
Beige.
And
I tried to make, I remember my wife tried to make it once. She went to an Indian restaurant next to India Palace is an Indian grocery store, and she went in there and got some tikka masala mix. And I would try this and take it home. Nothing like what they were cooking. It was more southern instead of northern, and more curryish. Right, it was more like brownish curryish, not as much tomato in it. So I'm spending. I've been trying to learn how to make it. I've been trying all these different recipes, trying to find that recipe, that combination of spices that they use, and I cannot find it, and it's frustrating me. I'm so mad. I wish I could have got that recipe from that guy. If I knew he was doing that, selling it, I would have tried to get it from him.
Feel bad for Ryan Hone.
Now I have no idea why I went down this path. Like you just mentioned Indian food, and it's stuck in my head, and it's nothing to do with what we were talking about.
We talked about
little
kids
rabbit
movie,
hole.
and then I said like the thing that threw me off was because the dog would not be safe in China. Okay.
Yeah. Then we started talking about India.
Cows, and then
cows. Yeah, that's how we went. Yeah.
Yep.
See, this is how my mind works. You guys don't understand. It's all messed up. I go down rabbit holes.
No, we just have tangents. We things link to other things, lead to other things, and we just keep going.
It's perfect fine. Yeah.
This is how conversations work.
But I know, but it's funny. If you talk to an ADHD person, they all experience this. Well, they'll be talking about something and they go, "How did I get here?" And they have to sit and think back of all the different steps that took to get them to this weird route that they got to.
Yeah,
and that's a fun game to play.
And that's the realism you get from 3 real people having a conversation that you're just not going to get with AI.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. You saw that segue, right? You thought it was cool, right?
And this is the second opportunity for segue. You had that.
You wouldn't be able to get that segue with AI.
That you decided to not let me segue to AI because you wanted to talk about Mario more. Because you were talking about these AI generated games. It's like speaking of Mario, cool. All right,
boom,
cool.
Deflected.
We'll hold on to this for a little bit. Hold on to this for a little bit more.
Anyways, it's better.
You're not going to get that quality of the transition on it with AI. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. All right. So like one of the YouTubers I follow is a guy named Dave Cullen. Right now, some people don't like Dave Cullen because they don't like his opinions and stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. I respect his opinions. I don't agree with him 100%. Like I do. He hates most modern Trek. I don't understand why he does not like Lower Decks. He doesn't believe there should be comedy in Star Trek, and I completely disagree with him on that. But that's okay. That is his opinion. Original? That's what I was saying. I love Lower Decks.
There were tons of jokes in the original.
Thank you. Freaking love Lower Decks, right? But it's just like whatever.
There's a hold on. It's a sit and binge watch. I've been watching their watch of it as a Patreon. Yeah. And seriously, the first episode, George just starts bust out laughing and says that's one of the funniest jokes I've seen. It was in the first episode of Star Trek. It was from the beginning. It was part comedy. So
yeah, was that Pike? Yeah, Pike's comedy.
It was before Pike. They didn't watch the unaired pilot first. They started with the first.
Okay. I was like, is Pike comedy? Kirk not? Is that what it is?
He's with a wheelchair, Ironsides.
Anyways, but yeah, so I do have disagreements with him, so like as I bring him up, don't think like I'm 100% in the bag for Dave Cullen. I'm not. I just respect his opinions. A lot of the things he brings up, like, yeah, makes sense. I respect that, Same thing with Angry Joe. I will bring him up from time to time. Not completely in the bag for Angry Joe. I just respect his opinion, and I like watching him suffer and pay for him to suffer so he plays Madden every year. So I don't have to. It's funny. What?
Gilganane. I'm just saying.
Oh my god! Like, there's sometimes I want to do video game reviews for low key, but I watch how they suffer some of these bad, awful games. I'm like, oh man, I would. Oh god, man, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. I just like, you're not getting the review. I'm not doing it. You're not getting the review.
We're only playing games that I think are at the sixes.
The best video game reviews or video game videos I've seen were Michael Jones when he first started before he went to Achievement Hunter. He used to do these rage quits, and he would play these games. He's like screaming at it. It's like, what are you doing this for? It was so hilarious just for him to go off. When he went off, it was incredible.
Oh man. So anyways, back to these articles. So like Dave Cullen did a great video. It's titled like "This is Freaky AI Generated Conversations." So he came across this AI, which strangely enough, Dear Leader has also been playing with this AI tool at the exact same time. So what you're able to do with this AI, you're able to load up different things up to it, and it will, just like any other train stuff over it, right from it, stuff like that, just like you generally do. But where this one is different, this little you can get an audio overview and give like dives into it, so it actually will give like a critique one you can ask just for, hey, just give me a synopsis, like burp, like if you just wanted like a quick make a quick commercial of a PDF document or a small book, it can do this too. But the other thing that you can do when you give it a little more power, stuff like that, it can have a conversation with itself and basically do podcast form about the book. And you can have them have disagreements, change things, whether they like it, and let them go at it. It's a pretty good video that he did on it, discussing. Like, I'm not going to bring up too much because if you're really curious, go watch the show. It's the Dave Cullen Show. It's on YouTube. Go check him out. And it was just so weird because it even had like the disagreements, recalling, going back, and it really did sound there for a minute. If you close your eyes and forget for a second, they're like, yes, this is all AI generated as it goes and speaks to it.
For me, watching it, it was a very weird experience, especially with him saying that he can imagine these people and it's a real conversation. But for me, at first, maybe at the beginning when they started talking, I could get that. But the longer they talked, my brain felt it was fake.
Yes.
It felt the fakeness. Even with the ums and the going backs and the I could, my brain felt the fakeness that you can tell. Certain, like, I don't know if it's just me, because I couldn't mentally see that these sound perfect the same way he dictated. Even when he used his own voice, I could easily tell that my brain could easily tell the difference. Mostly just because of how the tonality and how certain elements of it work. But people who don't know would probably not notice.
Yes, yeah.
Or people who are caring don't know. If I didn't listen to basically 1,000 hours of audiobooks of actual people talking, my brain probably would not have picked up on as much as if I was just watching it on the background in a podcast and just letting it run.
Right. And I think that's the other thing that's going to get to me, because I enjoy audiobooks. I don't want this for audiobooks. I understand how fast the speed I can get better audiobooks out and faster and different voices. But I don't know. I kind of love the human element of like some of the audiobooks, the way like the inflections, the artistry of voice acting that they do for the audiobooks. Yeah. Sorry, Randall.
Yeah, and there's I like getting the audiobooks that have like people like Red Shirts by John Scalzi. It was read by Will Wheaton, and I like hearing Will Wheaton, narrate. He narrates a couple, like Ready Player One. He narrates that. Stephen Fry narrating Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You're not going to recreate that with AI unless you use his voice, which then there's a whole thing about suing and preventing that from happening.
And trying to get the correct tonalities and stuff. Like,
yeah.
As stated, like that last job where I could basically listen to audiobooks all day, every day. I've listened to legitimately thousands of hours of audiobooks at this point. So
yeah. Well, the new release of Guild Wars 2 is coming out tomorrow. And in the story section of the release, the female Sylvari and human have no voice lines, because the voice actor who does that normally, she's part of a strike that's happening, so they can't get her, and they don't want to just put somebody else in, so they're releasing without voice lines for right now, and they'll put them back in later for future people play. So I have to go tomorrow because my character is a female Sylvari, my main character that I do stories with. So I'm going to have to, and it's so funny, just as a side sort of part of this. I used to be annoyed with games and they'd have the voice acting and it's like, just give me the text and let me move on, because I just get through it. I can just read faster than you're saying it, and you slow, especially in this new version of Guild Wars 2, where they have this one guy named Stoic who just talks like this the whole time. And I'm like, you get on with it. Yeah. So I was like, this, I realized that I didn't have that. It was just popping up the dialogue in text form. And I missed it so much. It was like jarring how much I actually wanted to have that voice acting there, and I thought I never did. I always thought I didn't want that.
It's a part of.
So it's just kind of weird.
it's part of the game, and that's one of the things is like, yes, I can read through it and be done with it, but the way characters read things and interact with things is
Mhm.
completely different. Like a
Mhm.
perfect example is that in Zenless that I've been playing, a couple of characters, their voice actors I think are also a part of that same strike you were talking about, because they're just not their characters will show up and have dialogue lines, but it'll just be silent, and it's super weird because you'll have a character having a conversation voice acted, and then there'll just be text on the screen when it's just silence, and it's really weird to not have them actually play off of each other.
Yep.
And it's one of those, it becomes like a jarring thing
Yeah,
when you're
you
used to
you
the
notice it
sound
a
there
lot
and
more
it's not
than
there.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's like it comes second nature. Like I think it's part of it is when I'm playing and I'm in their voice acting, I don't have to pay attention as much to the screen. I can kind of think about what I'm doing here
Mhm.
and check out, but
And
when I have to read it, I have to like focus on it. So that's part of it, I think. But it's also you get used to a certain voice in your head for the characters.
Mhm.
And it's like even if somebody else does it, it's jarring. Like they brought back a character named Zoja, which was voiced by Felicia Day back in the day, and they brought her back to do that character because it would have been weird having somebody else doing it.
yeah, you get over it, but yes, it would be
Right.
weird.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes you have to make adjustments like that. I understand it, but that's why I'm kind of glad they're not going out and getting somebody else to do these voice lines for these characters, and they're sticking with her, but they're respecting the fact that she's on strike.
right.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not scabbing her in with somebody else.
God, yeah. Scabs.
But
But
going back
but
to
we talk about how great the AI is. AI is getting so good. What really irritates me the most about it is you still have the crap, horrible, obvious YouTube videos of people putting out there with the really bad AI, and it's just like, why are you doing this to me? I
because
click
people
on it, I
believe it.
immediately hear it's a voice reading, an AI reading a script. I'm like, oh my god, and I turn it off immediately. I cannot do
Little
that.
girl puts water into the bucket, walks into the yeah.
People believe it. I mean,
Oh,
there's
oh,
a
the
bunch
worst
of
part
them.
is the ones, the ones that synopsize movies. Oh
Hmm.
my god, that's horrible. The genre of YouTube. Where did that come from
Put a
anyway?
put a pin in that. Put a pin in
Oh
that.
my
Put a
god.
pin in that, Rhino. We'll come back to that here in a minute when I go to the other thing about AI I want to talk about.
Okay.
But we'll come back to that one. Trust me, that that is relevant to the other thing. But going back to the AI conversation thing, it is weird, but there's one of those. But when you listen to it, there's a there's so it doesn't feel natural. Like even with the and the doubling backs and everything,
Yeah.
like just sitting there listening to it, it doesn't feel natural because there's a lot of times where things happen which makes no logical sense in the connecting of the
Right.
conversation. Like there's a part where she brings something up, and even though he's read the book, he goes, "Wait, that happened? Oh, so we'll talk about that." It's like, what do you mean? Like he didn't read it at all, and it was super weird. Like I know they that sometimes it's something that people do when they're trying to prompt people to talk more about things. I get that,
Yeah.
but
But
it felt weird.
one
It
thing,
felt unnatural.
I haven't seen this video, but I can almost guarantee that you don't have a lot of stepping over each other and talking in the conversation.
Right,
Correct. That doesn't
correct.
happen at all. Yeah.
It's take turns. It's take turns. It's pass
It,
back and forth.
That's
it's
not that takes that you can tell because you just listen to what we're doing. We talk over each other. We try to talk.
mhm.
That's the natural flow of conversation.
Right. Yeah.
You know, sitting patiently for the other person to completely finish and acknowledge that they're done and for you start up again is not natural.
TCP/IP communication. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing what he did also talk about, like the longer or bigger the text would go, that the AI would start basically hallucinating
Yeah.
and will
Make
just
this go up.
create things that is not in the book, not even close to the same genre. It would just start talking about it like it is in the book, almost even
Right.
quoting it at the points.
Right. It was just pulling other elements to put it in there.
Yeah.
And then that's some of the law. It's more of like, since it had more text, it was able to get more confused because it was such a significantly longer portion of a thing for it to find. So it was pulling other things that were kind of like it off
Mhm.
the internet. Because a lot of the times when when they're talking, he's like, oh, what is that? And he'll just read the dictionary definition of something as if it was like a normal part, like a normal thing in conversation, which is just, this is ridiculous.
It's one of my first interactions. I started kind of playing around with AI not too long ago because I was just like before like whatever, right? And I would do Copilot and stuff like that. I get the blah blah blah. But I got pulled up Chat GPT once, and I was just asking it some questions about when, like, I was trying to find something in one of the podcasts we had done on the other show, right?
Okay,
On the Chris Spangle show.
Yeah, the big show.
And I was like, when did I say this? So I would say, when did I say it? It came back and said episode such and such at this time frame. This was said, similar to that was said. I thought that was really cool, right?
Mhm.
And so then I started just asking questions about the show.
Yeah.
And one of the things I asked was who is Reinhold? And I got back an answer that really freaked me out a little bit. Because it basically said Reinhold is a character played by Chris Galt.
Oh God, no!
And I was like, what?
Oh no!
Where did you learn this? I mean, no, that is not true. I had to train the AI that Reinhold is not that person. I was like, oh my God, no!
That's hilarious.
Well, good. All right, so I asked my chat AI assistant who is Reinhold, and it says Reinhold's one of your co-hosts on the Twitch stream Low Key Talks. It's Low Key Talks, the talkies, alongside Vincent.
I mean, yeah,
Low Key Talks is actually not a bad rename if we want to get away from the wall part.
Yeah, I mean, but it also comes with the fact theory that you've used Chat GPT to make a bunch of
No, that's all.
a bunch of ooh versions of what we were gonna put in the description because you wanted to see what those look like. Obviously.
Yeah.
So it knows who we are based on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you put it in a bunch of times.
A bunch of times.
If I had Chat GPT and asked who Reinhold was, it would probably throw me back something completely inane. Which
I don't know. I trained it pretty hard because I asked it later and it came back with the right answer. So
right.
I don't know.
It
might give you the right one.
Well, I mean, based on you maybe, but if I
there's not a lot of Reinholds out there.
I'm
just telling you.
I just tried to use Grok. Grok's down. Oh no, it's back up. All right, it's just doing bad, huh?
But yeah, it was one of those things where when he was talking about it, it almost feels like because he is so invested in some of this AI stuff, it felt more real to him. David Cullen when he was talking about it, because for me it felt fake to me.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean,
how old are you, Reinhold? Because I kept talking
really
about just a Genesis. What's there? Here, mentioned in the book of Genesis.
I mean, I did help write that book. I try not to talk about it too much, but I was a bit of a ghostwriter for Moses.
It does apparently go. Alternatively, Reinhold might refer to an online persona commentator. There's a libertarian writer named Reinhold who's been active since 1988 per a Facebook page and runs Reinhold's newsletter on Substack, launched around 2020. Reinhold discusses U.S. and world politics, aligning with libertarian ideas with like individual liberty, free market, and has ties to the Libertarian Party of Indiana. If you're asking about a contemporary figure in political discourse, this could be your Reinhold. Though without a full name or more context, let's guess.
Close enough.
That's what I wanted to say. I don't want it to say that's Chris Galt.
That's a good call.
But yeah, if it's one of those things of because I don't deal with AI all the time like he's been doing, especially like the books the two books he used. One of them is about his belief of how AI is affecting the world and technology, and the other one is a mystery novel about AI and tech cults. So for me, not being entrenched into that environment, it all sounded fake to me. Like their conversation sounded fake, their intonations were wrong. There are moments where things should have went up when they went down, or just ways that words sounded together just didn't work the same. Same
Yeah.
when he used his AI version of himself. I could tell, like, I specifically stopped everything I was doing and just listened to the AI and then him talking afterwards, and my brain was, oh, I could easily tell the difference between the two because the AI's intonations were incorrect half the time. But it's more of a thing that I would pick up on, but other
But I
people
wonder,
probably wouldn't.
how much better it'll get with further
Right.
training.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
If you have lots of source material to pull from, like a lot of if I had been recording audio instead of like writing, somebody can go and read through my blog and probably pull enough information from there to write an article as if I wrote it.
Probably.
Right.
Because
But
I've got writings going back to 88 and stuff like that.
So yeah, it's interesting. The whole conversation thing is interesting. Hopefully, it's weird to see how it is, but I mean, it's an obvious evolution because
It also-
everybody has a podcast somewhere.
It also gives me ideas.
Ooh.
Oh my god! But this also leads to the other thing I want to talk about, because there's a YouTuber who I follow who's a book YouTuber named Crimson Rogue who talks about book stuff. And he was talking about there's this whole thing with this guy named David Fogarty, who's like a billionaire in Australia, who was saying that with AI, there's no reason to read books anymore. The AI should read the books for you and tell you what you need to know out of them. That's why you don't
Cliff
need
notes.
No,
So-
not Cliff Notes. Taking an entire book and giving you the most barest necessity information out of it. Like
a high school book report, maybe. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, almost to the extreme. And it was hilarious because like a bunch of people immediately started dunking on this guy, and the Crimson Rogue went through this whole thing of discussing it, and the best way he saw to do it is they made a little video about this forest near where he grew up. And him going through the process of entering the forest to go into his favorite spot and showing off different elements that he noticed and different things he experienced going through the path to get to that location. And he summed it up with like, I could have just cut to this spot here and you guys would know where I was talking about. However, the process of us getting here, you found out way more interesting stories. You saw more of this elements that you were able to immerse yourself and build, and it builds more to this thing where you now understand that we had to go through a forest, climb over all these branches, go past where muddy lakes and shit were, and then him showing that it's always the path, it's not the destination.
Right.
I have perfect stuff for that.
Right.
Just to explain how this is not something you can do. You cannot take AI to give you a book report of a book and then think you understand the book.
Right.
Because my first, mind-blowing moment reading literature was when I was reading a short story. I probably talked about it before. Asimov short story called The Last Question. I read it, and in reading the story, not just a synopsis of it, because the synopsis of it doesn't take you through the kind of leading your mind to think things through the pathing, right? To get to that final point where I went, oh, I would never have got that just hearing the synopsis of it. Another example would be Discworld. I just saw somebody doing a video on that documentary on Discworld yesterday. And then one of my favorite things in the world. Now, Discworld is full of jokes and puns, and you have to understand the setup to a lot of these jokes and puns in order to get them. And you're not going to get that through the synopsis. Like there's a book called Pyramids or Moving Pictures. Sorry, I'm thinking the wrong one. Moving Pictures, where basically the wizards create movies, and they figured out how to make popcorn. So it's just kind of a weird thing where they're inventing going to the movies. But they created on this really bad place called Holy World. Hollywood. is what it was. It was Hollywood
Mhm.
basically, but
Right.
it seeped evil into everything as they were making these movies, and that was the premise of it. So another thing you need to know about the books is that the librarian for the magic place got turned into an orangutan, and they won't let him turn him back because he likes it better that way. He prefers it. So now something happens, and then the movie's on, and then there's this woman. There's a man and a woman, large screen man and woman on the big screen. The woman comes off the screen and starts terrorizing everybody. Picks up the librarian, who's a monkey,
Mhm.
and starts climbing a tower where all the wizards are trying to shoot her down. Now, Terry Pratchett walked me through to that point where I never saw it coming until the moment he wanted me to see it, and then it hit me, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious!" You're not getting that with a book
Right.
report. Yeah,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's not going to give you that information because he's not going to
And-
understand what the comedy is. It's going to be so hard for AI to do good comedy and understand the timing and what makes good comedy. That's something wholly outside of what AI can even think
Right.
about doing.
To comedy.
And he was talking about it because he was like, it's not just romance or comedy or fantasy or anything that with like a narrative. Let's say it's not a narrative story; it's something that is like a self-help or a fictional
Mhm.
thing or a factual thing. Unless you're specifically looking at it just for the facts, there is I see that.
No, I have an answer to Brian there. So, but yeah, when you
But
finish your point.
if you're not just looking for just the facts, there are many things you'll miss out on it based on the writer specifically wrote anecdotes or how this connects with this and how your lived experience on the page with whatever the thing they're talking about is completely different than just having a synopsis of saying you have narcissism between according to this thing these are the lived experiences I have, which led me to believe, I might actually have this. In comparison to just going, this is what it is. And how much you're actually losing out on so much if you're just going, cut all the fat of every book and just tell me the straight narrative. Cool.
Yeah.
Star Wars. There's this kid in the desert. His family died, and then some old guy took him, and then they go blew up a ship.
Yeah, you get that on the back of book jackets, right? It tells you the synopsis of the story,
Right.
right? So it's like, yeah.
Right, and it's just like you can't get themes, you can't get narratives, you can't really feel who the characters are, and it's just like even if it's a self help or like a discovery book or like how to build something or a process of things,
Right.
you just lose out on it.
Another good point. The thing is, I was watching, rewatching Loki, the first season of Loki, and at the very end of it, when they meet the big bad guy, he he's like, I know everything that's going to happen. I knew that you were going to come here. I knew all this stuff ahead of time, right? And they're like, well, what's the point? Why did you make us go through all that stuff? And he's like, it's the journey. It's the hero's journey that makes us capable to understand the positions that we are in to the point you need to be at in order to make the decisions you need to make. You can't just make them without going through that journey. And it's the hero's journey is what he was trying to talk about. And it's like, that's part of it. You have to go with the character through their certain experiences in order to understand the decisions they make in good literature. So you can understand and believe that they made that, like, it might have been a little bit better if Anakin had better reason for turning into Darth Vader at some point. That would have been really nice to have, but we didn't get that. We got the AI snapshot version of, he's just bad now. Okay, let's go.
If we know why Luke decided to abandon all of his morals and try to kill his own nephew, it's totally like whatever, like maybe we can discuss what happened between the 8th and the 9th movie because somehow Palpatine returned. I'm just saying.
And I don't mind things happening, and then you're like, how did this happen? And they do a flashback and show you, so you don't see it ahead of time, but you get that shock in the beginning, and they go back and you understand it. But you got to do that. You can't just put it out there and then have somebody go, oh, this happened. I'm like, well,
Somehow
What?
Palpatine returned.
It's called a healing coma, sir. Okay. All right. We all have them.
Kryptonian healing coma.
Yeah. You just go.
Or Batman gets sent back in time
His
instead of dying.
his
sitting on
follow
Omega
his
Beam.
followers found this little ring when they burnt the body and took the ring off and made a little the
No.
master.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
it's
AI
not
is a
fair.
great tool for the boring things we don't do. Reading and enjoying life and learning is not the boring part. Go do that. Have fun with that. You know?
Exactly. And then people saying that you don't need to read, and then him doubling down on it when everybody calling him out on this bullshit.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, 50% of the people understood what I was trying to say. No, nobody did, because you're being an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people who don't understand or like reading, they don't get anything out of it. They're like, yeah, I'd rather just know what the synopsis is so that I can have a conversation about the book or know what people are talking about in some way, so I'm not completely lost. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people like that, but that just don't get reading. And I didn't either until my mind got turned. I mean, it just like a light switch, boom, and then I was broken. Um, so I get that there's probably 50% of the people who don't like to read at all and prefer not to,
Right.
Or they
that
choose
would
not
rather
to.
have this solution. Yeah.
Or they read things that are not books.
Yeah.
They don't believe that reading books are the same thing. And then because they've always been fed the answers.
Subtitles of anime.
No,
That's reading. Strictly
no,
reading.
I think there are a lot of people out there who don't read at all.
That
They
is
don't
true.
read magazines, don't read newspapers. They just watch TV and they do their work and they have their little whatever they do, their little hobbies or something like this. A guy could just be in his shed working on woodwork and making cabinets for a hobby, and he does something during the day that is manual labor or whatever. He's not pulling out a book and reading something. A lot of people aren't doing that. So
Yes.
I think we take for granted that, because I read a lot, and I think a lot of us take for granted that everybody's doing that or should do that. I don't think a lot of people are.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ryan. We needed that. Probably need a vacation with that. How about we go on vacation from that? Let's go to South Korea for a vacation. But also, if you're in South Korea, remember, follow the rules.
Yeah. Maybe,
Yeah.
just maybe.
Or
Video
even Singapore. So
Yeah.
you're going to get into a story probably that's similar to one that happened in the 80s. So
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think they had live streaming in the 80s.
Was they live streaming it?
No, he was tagging. He was he spray painted a wall and he got caned.
Cool.
In Singapore.
So instead of that, so we talk about Johnny Somali because it's hilarious to me. I think it's fucking hilarious. Ari thinks it's fucking hilarious because it's just karma incarnate, and it's just amazing. So anybody who doesn't know, Johnny Somali is like a live streamer, like a
former
IRL
live streamer.
Was an IRL streamer who made a name for himself for being an asshole and annoying. So he started off going to Japan and pissing Japan off to the point where the Yakuza hunted him down, and he basically had to leave Japan or they were going to fucking murder him. Saying shit like being on public trains and talking about the bombings. And then he decided to fuck around and find out in South Korea and discovered South Korea don't play around. So in South Korea, he did some very, very uncool shit, such as being a public nuisance in a convenience store. He disgraced a sacred statue of the servicewomen who died, and he decided to disgrace that statue on live stream
several times.
Yeah, also walking around.
Seekton found these out. Yep.
Walking around with dead fish in a bag, trying to tell people where he can take his food to. Being a complete asshole. And then it turns out that he didn't realize that in South Korea they have an app where you could put a bounty on somebody's head who's live streaming, and people will show up and beat their ass. And if they get arrested, all the money that was bet on them on the live stream goes to pay their police bills. They take care of all of it. They take care of all their legal fees.
Now we don't endorse. Yeah, but it's Johnny. Go ahead.
No, that dude is an asshole. He was getting his
but
ass beat on.
Can you imagine if we had that here and Logan Paul got his ass beat really early on, how much society would be better?
Just imagine what he did in Japan happened in South Korea. He wouldn't be around anymore.
We wouldn't have these problems.
Right.
There's a lot of people who would still have their life savings and wouldn't get the dink doink or crypto zoos. Yeah,
it's like the meme where it's
allegedly.
like, this is society this way, then it shows this is society if this had happened, and it's all like that's what would happen.
It was the utopia. Yeah, but so not only was he getting his ass beat regularly on stream because people were finding him and beating his ass, he eventually got arrested. The South Korean police decided that they arrested him, made him so he couldn't leave the country,
collected his passport, and basically made him fend for himself for 100 days because that was how long they could wait to put him on trial. And they made it so he couldn't live stream. He couldn't live stream. He couldn't took his live streaming equipment.
So they set it for 100 days out. So he had to fend for himself for 100 days with no resources. And then the day before the trial, he decided to live stream, breaking the rules, drunk, talking about how all of his plans to try to get out of it by basically saying he's an ignorant American and he didn't mean it. And they're gonna give him a slap on the wrist because, mind you, he also was doing shit like saying that he was friends with Kim Jong-un in the middle of the streets of South Korea.
For content,
and saying that he loved North Korea in the middle of South Korea.
Yeah, this is the United States, buddy. You can't.
If you didn't know, North Korea and South Korea.
Oh no, this isn't the United States pre-2025.
Yeah. Bully culture's back, baby.
So
you get deported now if you say the wrong things.
So this man ends up going on this live stream, basically saying every plan that he had, talking about how the investigators are asking him if he was an agent of North Korea, what his connections to North Korea were, and the guy was losing his mind. And then he shows up to court carrying a big ass bottle of water and wearing a MAGA hat. And first off, you can't have water in the courtroom because he was only drinking it because he was hungover. You can't wear the hat in the courtroom. He takes it off, he puts it back on. And throughout the trial, he's like being an asshole, like he is. He's making things worse and worse and worse. And then they basically give him 5 years. But before the sentencing, he's been talking English and being abrasive and an asshole in English. The judge looks at him in the face and starts talking fluent English because he thought he only spoke Korean. And basically told him, guess what, motherfucker? You have another charge now. And we're going to wait another 100 days to put you on trial for that next charge.
Yay.
And with that next charge, it would give him another 5 years in prison. So this man is up to 10 years in South Korean prison full of people who hate the fuck out of him. And he still has to wait for his next trial because he just fucked around and found out over and over and over again. And it's amazing. It's amazing to just watch somebody get karma. It is the Schadenfreude of watching someone who deserves it get bad things happen to them.
Because it really does, especially in people I want to see get it now.
Yep. The YouTuber Legal Mindset does a really good. He went over there. He's down there with a Tozy watching the trial. Watch the trial that happened. So he does a great video, good breakdown, good like 45-minute video breakdown of the trial because he was sitting in the room, and he, talking to like lawyers who are in South Korea that understand the law system there and gives a great breakdown. So you want to know the actuals. Legal Mindset is the YouTube channel for you if you want to get down deep into the
nitty gritty of it. While we're out here laughing our asses off because this dude fucking deserved it. Yeah. He is so lucky he didn't get he is lucky he went to Japan first. That's not even mentioning when he went to Israel and was causing shit with the police in Israel.
Yep.
During all the shit that's happening there.
Yep.
It was about to get his ass murdered there too. It's just karma for stupid people.
Yeah.
And it's like we got that. We got.
But remember, Joe Rogan would call him a genius.
We got the fucking Tates who come back to Florida, and even Florida was like, "We're opening cases against them as soon as they step a foot in Florida."
He's just gonna get pardoned. It doesn't matter.
and the fact that both sides fucking hate him. It's like DeSantis is saying that he's a piece of shit. Like all the Republicans in Florida also hate the fuck out of him.
Right.
Which is also it's delicious. It's delicious watching bad people suffer.
But he still has somebody has his back right now, and it's going to be hard to get through all that.
Correct. We did watch the president of the UFC shake this man's hand and sit in the audience with new director Kash Patel, the director of FBI, and other millionaires around the circle.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And Dana White's going to be in the administration, in some fashion or form. Probably some sort of fitness instructor underneath Health and Human Services or something like that. Oh, and Kash Patel wants to have the FBI trained by UFC. So the UFC is going to be training the FBI agents now, instead of their normal training that they would get training.
I don't understand the whole the UFC has some of the best fisticuff hand fighters in the world, hands down. I'll give them that. Mm-hmm. But we ain't out here. But we ain't out here kung fu fighting.
We're not out here with choreographed matches either.
Well. The UFC, there's no choreographed matches.
Oh, UFC. Okay, yeah.
No, UFC, not choreographed.
Okay.
Not WWE is different.
It's different. The other thing is, like I said,
they're different.
No one out here kung fu fighting. We pulling guns.
Oh yeah, we're really good at fighting. Guess what? Goodbye.
All the fighting you ever see in the UFC is take him down and wrestle.
Well, okay, all right. I want to get to the UFC rules because the UFC
that's not how it works.
Prioritize BJJ, and it was I think Phil and Camp just showed it better. These rules. It only succeed because you let them in you give them the match to it. Even Ken Jarrell, so it's this doesn't work. This doesn't work. You would be if I can't. The simple fact that BJJ only succeeds in the cage is because when you're on the ground that way, I can't kick you in the head. Mm-hmm. That's it. But if I can baseball kick you in the freaking face because you're lying on the ground, now granted, I'm there's other rules. Yes, can't be fish hooking, no small joint manipulation, but that kind of makes sense. But the whole you're just laying there on the ground, man.
Yeah, no punching to the testicles. That's not going to happen in real life, man. You're not getting that protection in real life. People are going to go there.
First off, men, we should be all gentlemanly and never punch another man in the balls. I think we all could agree.
God damn it, Butters.
I think when you're
why are you shooting me in the
talking
dick,
about
Butters?
criminals,
I'm out. Butters. You're shooting them in the dick.
I think as men, we should all promise not to hit each other in the dick.
It reminds me of the Friends episode where they're like, so we're not going to allow kicking, okay, because they're going to have a fight. And they started coming up with rules like no punching in the face, right? Because you have to go to work on Monday, and then the guy on the other side goes, that's a good point. We probably should not do that or whatever. Okay, with no faces, and it's and nothing in the groin area. And it's And somebody looks at him and he's like, "Oh, we're trying to have a baby." And, "Oh, that's really good." And they start having this conversation.
Nice, yeah.
They're coming up with, like, so basically, it's from here to here. Here's your chest.
This is it. That's all you get.
Just go like this.
And honestly, yeah. Better fight than some BJJ fights come out there. This is just a little bit more interesting. I'm not just saying BJJ can't be interesting, but like
I don't like UFC because it's like this is not really ultimate fighting. You know what I mean? Like, let people go at it. If you're gonna go, let them go at it. Go at it.
All right, I see what you're saying. I have some issues with
if you make rules, you're going to get a certain type of outcome. Like when they make rules in boxing. Boxing used to be a lot bit different than it is now because boxing used to be a lot more vicious and aggressive. And then they started, changing the rules to try to protect the fighters, which is great. I like it. It's fine. But you're going to get a different boxing out of it. You're not going to get like what you get in the military, in the field, or doing Krav Maga to save somebody's life, or spying for they don't correlate with each other.
Exactly. So
I can also say that FBI probably doesn't need, they're not like the military or the CIA. FBI is just a bunch of guys walking, so whatever. But still, it's dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb. And on that bombshell, hopefully the guys running the government will try to protect women in sports. They'll also go to help young boys and stop football in schools because CTE is dangerous too. Anyways.
How dare you, sir? You've changed your whole life.
CTE is dangerous. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
So we, if it's all about protecting kids, we should erase the Tates and ban high school football.
And what about all the preachers who keep getting arrested for?
Yeah, they should be arrested.
Kids.
Yeah, we should arrest them too. Also remove the tax exemption status for schools. Anyways, hey everybody, this is going to be a great episode. If you got this far in the episode, you're a true key holder, and I thank you. You could be listening to anything else in the world, but decide to listen to us, and you are amazing. This is a live podcast recorded at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. EDT Monday nights. We have them all come hang out with us live, because I understand we're on a podcast network. Most of you guys listen to podcast form, and to the 350 you guys who kept downloading us after we get over 166 episodes, which is great. This is freaking amazing. But you can watch us on twitch.tv/we are, as the letter R, libertarians, and youtube.com/we are libertarians. Come hang out with us live. We like hanging out with you people. But if you want to listen in your car while you're doing work or cutting grass, riding a bike, that's fine. This is fine too. All right. So, going to end this stream. Let's say goodbye, everybody.
Go watch AEW Revolution, but stop before the main event because that shit was ass.
EDM for EDT. How about that? Let's go out on that.